Hey guys, welcome to our spoiler-heavy edition here of our Star Wars: The Force Awakens review. We're gonna talk about what we like, dislike, and maybe some speculation going into Episode 8. So, like I said, there's gonna be nothing but spoilers. We're just gonna talk about everything we saw in the movie. So, if you haven't seen it, you probably want to come back and watch this video later. With that all being said, I am Dean Thomas. I'm joined here by Robert on my left and Doug on my right. And I guess maybe let's just start off with some of the things that we liked about the movie, because I know we all really enjoyed it. So let's start with you, Doug.
I really liked how it seemed like all three of the original trilogy movies packed into one with its own twists and turns in it, because there was just a lot of similarities between there being a just giant planet blower upper machine, and then as well as just how they attack it with the going through the trench and then going inside it to actually blow it up from the inside. And there's a whole host of other things, but I really enjoyed it. I just really like the feel of the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of callbacks to Episode 4. But still putting a new twist on it. It wasn't just like you were watching the same.
Yeah, it wasn't
thing.
just a rehash.
Anything specifically for you, Robert? That even like a favorite part? Anything?
I guess I like the humor that Finn had in the movie. I enjoyed that. It wasn't over the top, but it was definitely there, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's a lot more humor than usual, and I liked a lot of the humor. Although I thought there was a little too much at times, or like maybe not every character needed to crack a joke. But like the humor worked. There's a lot of it.
I was worried at the beginning when Poe is like when he gets immediately captured by Kylo Ren. I'm like, oh geez, this sort of seems like Avengers style witty humor, but really it died down after that. But I understand the thing that there might have been a little bit too much humor, but it wasn't slapstick humor that was in the prequels or some nonsense Jar Jar stuff. It was at least somewhat sophisticated.
Yeah, this movie definitely felt like the original trilogy more so than the prequels and all that. So that was definitely a plus. And you just mentioned Kylo Ren, so definitely got to talk about him. He's the big threat. Looks like he's going to be a big part of the universe going forward. I don't know if he's going to be the big threat the entire time. What did you guys think of Kylo Ren? Did you like him, dislike him?
I personally really enjoyed Kylo Ren. I liked how it was the reverse of, this is where I was going with the similarities between Episode 6. He was, instead of being seduced by the dark side, he was like worried about being seduced by the light side, and his struggle to overcome that seduction and transcend to become like full Sith Lord beyond his suffering by, we're doing spoilers, when he kills his dad Han Solo. And that's where it was like, I don't know if I have the strength to do this. And then he does, and then it's like, well, I don't have to suffer anymore because my dad's dead. He can't yell at me anymore.
How are you, Robert? Do you like him?
I liked him in the beginning, because in the beginning you thought he was this dominant, powerful guy. But towards the end of the movie, in the middle, you kind of realize that he's kind of he's not that, like...
He's learning, Robert.
I wanted him to be the dominant villain. I wanted him to be the best best bad guy out there, where in the end, he was just... I want to swear right now, but I'm not going to.
Go on.
But he was a little bitch boy. and I just... But I also don't like that part, because she's defeated this Jedi who's been training, has been trained.
It's in the title, sir. The Force awoke inside of her. She is the new Force dominant being in the galaxy.
Well, they never say how much he was trained. We still don't know how long he trained under Luke, is what they.
But I mean, when he trained under a little bit of Snoke Daddy?
Well, it sounds like Snoke's been training him, but Snoke even made it clear.
Wait, didn't he call him that he was the master of the Knights of Ren? Or
he called Kylo of the Knights of Ren, or leader of the Knights of Ren. So we still don't know anything about the Knights of Ren either. So
the other Knights of Ren could be some scrubs. If he's getting... Well, then again, and this is saying, if going towards like Robert points, like, why is she beating on this guy? Is she somehow super strong, or is Kylo Ren not that sweet? If it's the former, then those other Knights of Ren might not be too threatening. But I feel like, because it's the whole thing, she's like the new dominant force being in the galaxy, like above a Luke, but just needs to really learn to harness it.
Well, and I know a lot of people were complaining that like Luke struggled with the Force and all that, but a lot of them, I think, it was because they doubted it. Rey didn't doubt it; she fully believed and embraced it right away, which might have contributed. And Kylo was shot up pretty bad during that last fight, and we don't know how long he's been trained. So.
Which was just the coolest thing of him just smacking his side to increase the pain, and then had a big old force push, because it's like, that's it, being pain, their anger, and their power. It was just so awesome.
And I liked the lightsaber, like the prequel lightsaber fights were cool, but they were like choreographed too much.
A lot of dancing.
Yeah, this one felt like aggressive, and it looks cool, but like when in principle. I like the just aggression they had.
Well,
in these.
this one had the like more finesse, I guess, of like the original trilogy, which didn't have the flashiest lightsaber fights, but in episode 5 and 6, they definitely amped it up
Right.
from the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader poke war.
Right.
But then I also, they were getting banged up. They were getting cut, slashed a little bit. Nothing that's gonna like decapitate, but it's like they nicking them, and it's a lightsaber, so a nick's gonna freaking hurt a ton.
Yeah, and then there were those callbacks, and I like how Kylo Ren. I don't know if they'll ever explain why he loves Vader so much. It's his grandfather, as we mentioned, because he's Han Solo's son. But I don't know if they're gonna go into more of how he got the mask and why, because Vader eventually turned to the good side. Now Luke probably is the only one that knew that, but did he tell Kylo in his training that Vader turned, or?
I feel like he would have told Leia, and Mama Leia would have told him, like, hey, Grandpappy was terrible. Well, he was good, terrible, but he came good again.
Right, so I don't know.
So
They got unless, the whole thing of Snoke lured him to the dark side and maybe
Or
manipulated him.
it made it
somehow.
seem like, no, he never turned to the good side. He killed the Emperor for a lust of power, not to save his son.
Right.
Could do still a little action like that.
And I guess maybe some things I didn't like. Throughout the ending, there were some really, I don't know, they were just too easy of things, like convenience. Like how R2 just happened to have the rest of this giant map to find Luke. I was like, really? And then they foreshadowed it so easily earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
that
it
kinda
wasn't
good.
it wasn't subtle. It was just like R2 might have the rest of the map still in his database.
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, that's unlikely.
Right. And then
Well,
he just happens to.
It was like impossible for them to like repower him up or something.
Right,
Like, he's
yeah.
a droid.
Right.
You can't turn him on.
Well,
Yeah.
he shut himself in the open. Like, I know this is important, but like we can't invade his privacy. It's like, well, you
He's a
can.
droid.
Right. And then the fact,
Well, they're beings too, Roberts.
Well, I
Droid
mean-
lives matter.
To us, he's more than just a droid,
Right.
but to them,
Right.
he's just a droid.
very true. And then the other thing going along with that is the whole map about Luke. Luke went off to hide. So where did this map come from? I don't think Luke was like, I'm not telling you where I'm going, but I'll draw a map, even though I don't
Oh,
want you to find it.
I want to say, like, you know how it's kind of similar, but not quite direct to it. But you know how Kylo Ren, yeah, that's right,
Yes.
was I messed it up earlier. How he was like trying to get information out of Rey's head.
Yeah.
He said like, I see the ocean.
Oh,
I
yeah,
see
you
the
pointed that out
islands
to me
that
afterwards,
you want
yeah.
to go to. So she knew where he was all along. Like the Force was like leading her
Like
to
Force vision type
True.
of
yeah,
deal.
was leading to her where she wanted it, where Luke was. She just didn't know it.
Which goes into my theory, if we want to get into some theories of going forward in Episode 8, that also tells me that maybe Rey is Luke's daughter, and that's why she was connected to him in a sense. I mean, that's just me reaching, although I still think for other reasons.
I mean, it
but,
makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
especially
she was
strong.
yeah.
like,
Unless 'cause she had parents and then was abandoned. But why Luke, if he was a parent, why would he do that? There's obviously
Right.
some reason, not just like I don't really feel like paying for child support. so-
well, they also.
Or maybe it's like you don't, because the Force awoke inside her. Maybe he couldn't like sense the Force in her, so he's like,
I don't
well,
think he just dumped her.
Well, I mean, the Jedi aren't supposed to have any attachments or anything.
Well,
so
They're
I
not,
was
well, they're
just
not supposed to
like-
have kids either. So
well,
what-
Luke really can't say that's a real good rule. It's like, well, if my dad didn't break that rule, I wouldn't be alive.
Well, if he didn't break that rule, he probably wouldn't be so terrible.
True. Well, and I guess the reason I believe it is they make such a big deal about that she was abandoned. Now she needs to stop waiting because they're not coming back. So you could say, well, then she went and found them. But also the way they showed the scene is they don't just show a scene of her getting, like, somebody clearly left her and they made a big deal about that person leaving her.
Yeah.
So that tells me, and then the fact it's the Force, and the end shot when she shows up and meets Luke, and there's no words, but she's, hands him the lightsaber, offers it to him. He looked awfully emotional, and I don't think he's emotional about the lightsaber. I think it's like he knows it's his daughter, and that's why.
Well, I mean, Obi-Wan did die. You saw that happen.
What?
It'd be sad.
Obi-Wan.
What was that to do
That
with
was
Rey or
like-
the lightsaber?
That was like 36 years
Yeah.
ago. Why would he be so upset about it then?
Brought back some painful memories. Maybe he hasn't been really doing his Jedi
Lightsaber.
training. I don't know. Just gazes off in the ocean.
He looked really tired though. At the end of the scene, his eyes were super baggy.
Yeah, well, he probably been
probably
through a
cried a
lot.
lot.
Yeah,
Well,
been
he's
through
re-
a lot. Well, he trained Kylo, and
He
they
murdered-
made that they.
Well, Kylo
Right,
murdered.
right,
him,
right.
Yeah.
That's why Luke left. It was because he felt he failed with Kylo.
Yeah.
That's why he left. Okay. Which
Well,
is one of
failed in
the
the sense that like, oh, one of my students turned the dark side. Oh, one of my students turned the dark side, then murdered all my other students.
right. Yeah.
It happens.
This is the best of us. It's not your fault, Luke.
Which leads me to the thing is, the reasons of why did Luke leave Rey if that's the case, because you would think maybe he would been upset that he failed Kylo and he didn't want her getting involved, but they look about the same age. I mean, Kylo Ren could easily be 15 years older, and it's just because Rey's so young, more or less, that they just look that way. But they seem to be similar.
I feel like it must have been something, or even with Luke had some affair, and like his mother was like, no, and we can't, or like she didn't tell that it was Luke's child, but like when he sees her, it's like he feels in the Force, like, whoa, you feel like me, the Skywalker.
And then I do think that staff, which they made a very big deal about, in every poster, Rey's holding the staff. She has it all the time, and they don't explain it. So I would imagine there's something to that staff. It's not just a piece of metal. There's something that's...
But yeah, to the point that you made right after the movie, they didn't reveal all the stuff that we were looking for, so it really leaves up to like, oh hey, like all the stuff we don't know. There's still some left to be explored in episode 8 and 9.
Put like a nice bow on the movie. Like you wanted more, which is upsetting when the movie ends. But at the same time, you're excited to go see the next one.
I'm happy the way the movie ended. They could have ended the movie before she actually met up with Luke.
Right.
She was like hyper-spit.
I would have said the one problem is like that, like, oh, you can't just leave off with a big cliffhanger. Like, we know where Luke is. Find out next time on Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah, I would have been a little upset if they ended it like that. But they probably didn't need to show Luke, but I think it was a good ending.
Yeah.
The general audience most likely were maybe wondering or didn't even notice that Luke wasn't there because maybe they're not invested as some of us are. So it was nice to show them that he's still around.
Yeah.
But you could tell right from the beginning that this movie's going to be good because its opening crawl text didn't talk about banking disputes and embargoes on planets.
The opening crawl got right to the point, and sometimes the opening crawls too is like I felt like they went on forever. Like
This one was
really long. This one was like 3 good paragraphs that got you to the point.
It's great.
Got you up to speed.
It's great. It's great.
Oh, okay. And as we were talking about predictions, and they don't explain who Snoke is. He's still very much mysterious. You only see him in a hologram.
We learned though he isn't a giant in a chair sitting in a cave.
I was very happy when they revealed. I think we all were when.
Well, there's also you're just like, why is he just a giant?
Huge, and you're like, what? And then you know at some point Snoke most likely is gonna fight either Luke, Rey, or Kylo Ren converts back to the light side, and it's like, how are we gonna have the guy fight this 30-foot tall thing? But it's revealed to be a hologram. That was a societal relief for me.
Oh yeah.
So should we transition on to some maybe predictions of episode 8?
Yeah, I mean we've covered some, but do you have a big one you wanted to throw?
A
out
big
there?
prediction. I feel like this is where Luke's obviously gonna be a much more central character, and I feel like it's gonna be from like episode 5 to 6 with like Luke became from kind of incompetent Jedi to like, oh, I can force choke freaking pigs and like Marine guards, whatever they're called, Gamorreans. And I feel like that's gonna be kind of with Rey, is you're gonna learn about more of the Force. And I guess prediction. So I feel like Snoke's also gonna be
You'll learn a little bit more, but I have a feeling the big reveal.
The big reveal will be episode 9, but I feel like he's gonna have the reveal in episode 5, like who he is.
Right.
Kind of like how Darth Vader had that reveal in episode 5, and then in 6 is like where they're like actually gonna like really battle it out. But I guess other predictions, I just kind of that Rey's just gonna be more of a competent Jedi, and Finn's gonna be off doing whatever. He's just in a coma. So
yeah, that Finn is a big mystery for sure going forward.
Is Finn gonna be the new Han Solo?
They kind of make that way, but at the same time, Rey's the one that has the Falcon with Chewie. So, like, she's kind of everything, right? I mean, she was definitely my favorite character by far.
yeah.
Finn, I don't know where they'll go with him. And I also think Episode 8 will be following the pattern of Star Wars. You introduce the world, and then the second episode or whatever, as Empire was, is the darker one where you learn a lot. So I can imagine there's going to be some training between Luke and Rey. It'll get a little bit darker.
Knights of Ren are going to... at least maybe Snoke won't be introduced, but I feel like the rest of the Knights of Ren will have to show up.
Yeah, they'll definitely dive into thinking to Kylo Ren's backstory a little bit more now. It seems like the natural thing to go. And who knows, maybe he'll be...
I just wonder if Leia
says to Hux, like, bring him to me, it's time to complete his training. So you got to imagine Kylo Ren's going to be a lot stronger come Episode 8.
My question, too, is, like, is Leia... gonna actually, I wonder if it's gonna happen, and if it'd be episode 8 or 9 of like when she'd confront Kylo Ren and be like, her son, like,
when does Leia talk to her son again, or do you think that'll be, here's a question, do you think Kylo Ren will ever turn back to the light side, and maybe that's when he meets Leia? But I guess the question would be, do you think he'll turn at some point, or do you think he'll just get stronger and more evil and then have to be taken
I
down?
feel like he's gonna be tempted again with the light side of like a Leia, but he's not gonna like kill her. It'll be he can't like unlike Han Solo, like he just forever made because it's like a mobbing.
That's when he turns.
I don't think he's gonna turn
officially?
fully, but I feel he's gonna be like again, just harkening back to Episode 6, where it's like he's about. I don't know. Maybe it's like he's about to kill her, or maybe it's gonna be one of those things where he's like, I'm about to not kill her, and then he does. But I feel like it'd be weird to kill off both your parents.
I can't see that happening.
But I can't see him turning back to the light either.
I don't see him confronting his mom ever though. Like it'd be like,
Over a hologram.
well, or even more if it was like finally he was brought in by somebody. Like he was like, I'm done with Snoke or whatever. But yeah, I can see where they go. The opposite of Vader was at his absolute strongest, and then he progressed to get slightly weaker, and then he became good again. I can see where Kylo right now is conflicted, and then even by Episode 9 he could be like extremely evil and powerful, or I could see him kind of like realizing that Snoke's not what he wanted, and because he's very conflicted right now with the light side. So I don't know where he's going with it. There's a lot to.
I did think a cool part about Kylo Ren too was how he keeps struggling to live up to like Darth Vader's like like I failed you, like I'm not as strong, which is kind of I thought was cool. There was another discussion and a guy mentioned it. I don't remember who it was, but he was talking about kind of like he could just the actor Adam Driver himself could use that. It's like I have to try to live up to somewhat to be Darth Vader, and then he could use that almost same personality of like as his character. It's like
it's a good point.
It's almost like
if he wants to be more like Darth Vader, I noticed like when he was angry, he would just slash at computers. While Darth Vader, he would actually kill someone.
Kylo, he's kind of like immature.
Yeah.
Like he'd have like anger outbursts.
Yeah, instead of like Vader had anger outbursts.
But it was like, well, it was controlled anger. Like he's like, I'm gonna murder you, and I'm gonna be fine with it, or like I'm not gonna. But he just kind of
keep
goes,
his composure.
While Kylo's like a young hothead sort of.
He hasn't really surpassed the
past angry teen.
Yeah, or like like hate leads to suffering. Like he made a step towards passing the suffering that Darkseid causes by killing Han Solo, or his dad. But he's still, really not quite there yet. He's still just, an angry teen. Just, cut all these computers. Like, dude, now I gotta replace it. That's like 19,000 credits.
And I liked that he did that. Like, it was a cool anger outburst. I just thought they handled it too humorously. Like, I thought it could have been like a more powerful, angry, emotional scene.
The first one, I felt did. I felt the first. He did that one guy kind of like here.
Oh, the second time.
But the second time with the guards, you're
the clones see the guy and like mess the computers up, and they just like turn around and walk away.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna go.
Like it's at the time it's funny, but when you look back at it, you're kind of like, oh, I wish they would have like.
I thought the first one was handled well because like they showed the guy, but he was still just like the dude who's standing there. He was just like, ooh, right. Like he was like uncomfortable being in the room.
Oh, and I just read this today. I don't know if you guys had heard that Daniel Craig, James Bond, was going to be in the movie.
Yeah. Who was he?
I guess he was. He apparently, there's a couple sources, or whatever, that the scene where Rey uses the Jedi mind trick.
Oh yeah.
And he's I guess apparently that stormtrooper that is.
If I watch it again, I'll probably hear the voice.
Your things and I'll leave the room with the door open or whatever.
Wait, that was it?
I guess so. That's what
awesome.
they're saying. I do like the and drop your weapon and drop your weapon. that was pretty funny. That's the humor that I did like.
Yeah, I'll have to see it again. But yeah, the Force power, like that's a good like Star Wars humor. Like a really good in Episode 2, just like. When the guy trying to sell him death sticks to Obi-Wan, and he's like, you don't want to sell me any death sticks. I don't want to sell you any death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. I'm going to go home and rethink my life. Like that's like good Star Wars humor. Well, it's not like slapstick.
The guy that wrote a lot of Empire and wrote this one, Lawrence Kasdan or whatever, they were talking about like the humor, and he said, well, it's like goofy, but it's not like dumb. I don't remember the phrase he would, but like the whole thing with Han or whatever, like on the intercom in Episode 4.
Oh yeah.
How's everything going on? Fine.
How are you?
Like that's Star Wars humor.
Yeah.
Like that's what I like. Which I have to say, a lot of thing I like too is Han Solo was in this movie. It wasn't just like Harrison Ford. Like it was Han Solo, and I really liked that.
I also liked how like Han Solo he used Chewie's gun for the very first time. He was like, "Damn, this is awesome."
I kind of like this.
It was like so powerful. It's like, "Dang, this is why you're awesome."
I liked the fact that Han was still a smuggler and he had this big upgraded ship because he didn't have the Falcon. I wasn't the biggest fan of the alien creature running around. Like that.
The weird roly tentacle monsters.
And it's too like they had gone so hard with like pushing practical effects, and then went with this giant CGI alien that just did random havoc. Like, I don't think this was needed.
I feel like they could have gone for an already established. I don't know like what it could have been. But they
Right.
probably could have gone for an established like.
or even if it was just Rey,
something-
Finn, and Han and Chewie just like fighting with blasters
Yeah.
against those two different groups instead of an alien running
I'm
around.
not, yeah, so if they did have
Yeah.
a creature, maybe not make
Right.
a creature like that, or make a new one, but just like something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, because I mean, the scene was okay. I just wish they had done something else, or even if they just didn't use it necessarily. But so what would you? I guess final thoughts on the new characters. Like someone you really liked for the new characters. Did you not like one of them? As far as like Rey, Finn, Poe, all those guys.
Miles-
BB-8.
BB-8 even.
I was a big fan of Finn, Rey, Poe, Maz Kanata,
That's the thing. Yeah, they were all good.
BB-8. Yeah, there was all the new characters were pretty great,
Right.
and like I didn't mind, like Poe Dameron, he was a really good like side character. Like he's not part of like the main like crew of
Right.
people because he's off doing more of the resistance type stuff.
Yeah.
But he was so awesome. Just like when they're outside Maz Kanata's place and you just see his X-wing just like blowing up. He's like, well, this is the best pilot in the resistance.
Yeah,
It was
he's
just
the
awesome.
kind of guy like you'd want to hang out with. Like he seems like
Yeah.
a cool guy.
Yeah.
And then I also I tweeted this out or whatever today, but I've always had a hard time picking a favorite character in Star Wars. Like there's some really cool ones, but I'm like I don't relate to them anyway. But I have to say like Rey is now my favorite character. Like she's strong and it's just like she's a cool character and like she's independent and she can do everything.
She's super smart.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked how the movie handled her of like the very beginning they kind of were like pushing that she's a woman but she handles herself and she doesn't need help from Finn or anybody
Yeah.
else. But they didn't like beat you over the head with it and then they just let her actions show it. They weren't just like trying to prove something to
Yeah.
you, which I really like because there's not a lot of them female characters that are very good right now in Hollywood and especially Star Wars has never had them. So it's nice to see her.
Whoa, Miss Leia shoots a lot of people, and like episode.
Leia was like the one woman in the original trilogy though.
I want to throw in.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that like at least there is one, and then Padme as well as.
Padme didn't do anything.
Doug's upset.
Well, Dean, all right. Given that the prequels are bad, but in episode 1, she's with everyone assaulting back in Naboo, shooting people up, shooting droids, and then in episode
But she
2,
doesn't- to me, at least
or
universally,
episode
she
3.
doesn't come across as this strong character. She's just like there.
she's a queen, Dean, and she freaking fought a weird, what I don't know what the name of the creature was in the Geonosis.
Lion tiger thing.
Yeah, and she's beating the head with a freaking chain, like shooting people on a chariot type
Like
thing.
that. I'm
Right.
not a fan of the scene, but
Well, it's just all right. Given that the movies are bad, but I would say Star Wars at least has at least one, but she's
Sure.
definitely like one
but
strong
I
female
still
character.
felt Rey was like
Well, she's the first.
yards ahead of all of those two at least, in my opinion.
And then like the female stormtrooper, I was expecting a lot more out of
Yeah,
her.
And getting-
Phasma or whatever.
Yeah, just getting tackled by Chewbacca,
Yeah,
and
she
then
didn't do anything.
She was absolutely worthless.
She didn't fire a shot.
They
Yeah,
built her up to be something, and maybe they didn't do anything. They just left her to be whatever after they forced her to open the shields or whatever. So I'm sure she'll be back. And I
yeah.
hope they capitalize on that because they built her up to be this big thing. They marketed her big, and then she didn't do a single thing.
No, she let them into her.
Granted, that's kind of what Boba Fett did. I mean, episode 5, he was a little bit more cool,
Episode 5,
but
though, Boba Fett did some stuff.
he kind of shot at some people, and then Darth Vader captured Han Solo for him, and
True.
just gave it
I mean,
to
well,
him.
that is the thing that we've got a couple movies left where they could easily do
Have
more,
her-
But
Yeah.
I was just hoping for more. In this
I will say,
one.
yeah, the opening action scene, even though she didn't do anything, she did look cool there, but that opening action
Right.
scene was just great.
I really liked the opening action scene because it felt grounded and real, and like
Yeah.
the fact that it's like these new updated Star Wars that looks like it could be happening. And I
No,
liked
that was
how-
I was just getting so like it was like opening crawl, and that scene was like, this is just awesome. I'm just so happy right now.
And then I
That
love
Jedi
how
robe and everything.
immediately, they actually did it on purpose, but to show you that stormtroopers could at least hit something.
Oh.
That immediate scene, they were like right here, right now, and they were hitting things. They were just trying to prove a point to you almost.
Yeah.
But it worked because you were like, okay, they can shoot now.
The very first 2 shots were 2 kills, and I
Right.
told Brandon, who I was sitting next to, he said, I said, well, their aim definitely got a lot better.
Yeah, which is something that and I liked how they were like a force, and they had personality almost. It wasn't just like these mindless things. Because like when
No.
Finn gets in the lightsaber fight with the guy just throws his stuff down and it's like, oh, I got he's
Like,
confident
traitor.
and cocky in himself.
Or even the guy
I mean,
kind
he
of
knew what to
even in
do.
the
He
beginning when
handled
the guy's like
himself.
reaching out like for the other
Right.
stormtrooper buddy or whatever died and like
Right. That's one thing I didn't like about Finn's character as much is he didn't feel like a Star Wars character to me. He felt like a guy from Earth put into the Star Wars world. which I know it needed updating and all that, but like I don't know, he didn't feel like a Star Wars character to me, even though I liked his character.
But I understand sort of like why he knows, like he knew a lot about like the galaxy at whole,
Right.
but I understand that, but I still felt like he was a good character. We might want to wrap it up for like 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. But so I guess there would be some of our predictions, some of what we thought about the movie, spoiler free, with the spoilers, not spoiler free.
And go see the movie like right now because it's freaking great. Even though if you're watching this, you're obviously probably either seeing it or going to. So
Yeah,
see it again, see it 2 more times.
Yeah, and
I'm seeing it Saturday night again.
Yeah, jump in the comments of what you guys thought your favorite parts, maybe what you think is going to happen as we go forward. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at AC Movie Chats for all the latest news. And I thought the impressive thing I saw is Star Wars already broke a couple records at the box office. Like it made $57 million last night alone. I think that was the number.
That's
Like
a lot.
Wait, not counting the pre-sale tickets?
I think counting the pre-sale tickets.
Oh,
Just
right.
last night alone, that's how much it made. And then some of the pre-sale tickets were for tomorrow, or I guess today.
And that was only from
tomorrow.
7 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. And it played on like 4,100 screens or something just last night, and it didn't start till 7 o'clock. So this thing's probably going to smash some records. We'll see if it's the all-time box office leader, or at least the opening weekend.
Well, the hard part is like Alvin and the Chipmunks is taking a huge majority of their 30-year-old market.
Chipmunks and Sisters, big
Ooh.
time.
I almost didn't see Star Wars because Alvin and Jim was like, my 2 favorite like series.
Yeah, okay.
Ha.
Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, make sure you comment, follow us on Twitter at AC Movie Chats, and keep checking back here for more videos. We're probably going to see a lot of movies over our Christmas break, so we'll have a lot of reviews to put up. So we'll see you guys next time.